In the previous session, we have seen how can we add the cluster key when you are creating a table. In this session, we will see more things like if you have an existing table, how can you really add the clustering key, and we will also understand about the automatic clustering. We will also understand like how can you really drop the clustering and many more information about the cost. So let's go on. So let's see how we can really add the cluster key on the existing table. So if you see here the contacts table, it is also there in alpha h first db public. We just see here. So what it is saying that invalid clustering key or the contacts is not clustered. So what I will do, I will add a clustering key here and then I will go and check. So this is basically like what I'm trying to show here is we can create the cluster keys at the time of the creation of the table, or we can like alter the existing table and create the clustering keys. And this will give you the more detailed information. If it has data, it will show you like how many partitions, how much data is there. So it's the same information which you get it here. So one more thing I would like to point out here is when you are cloning a table, at that time the clustering is actually copied, like cluster key you will get it, the table will be clustered as the source table, but it will not be automatic clustering on, so it will come at it as off. So you have to like manually go and on it. So what is automatic clustering is like suppose you are like creating a cluster key, or you are like altering the cluster key, Snowflake internally automatically recluster the table based on the new keys, or but since it is off, it will not happen. So we have to like manually add it. So let's see how it works. So what we are doing here is like we are creating a clone. Since we know that contacts table is actually clustered, if you see here the cluster key is city. So now what we are doing is like we are creating a clone of the contacts table here, and let's see the clone contacts. So if you see the table is clustered, but the automatic clustering is off, it's off here. So what we have to do is we have to like resume it by using an alter command. So I have resumed it, and if you see it here now, automatic clustering is on. So earlier which manual clustering was allowed by Snowflake, but now they have actually deprecated it. So what the capability was that you can manually go and recluster the table, but as of now you just have to do the automatic on and off, and Snowflake automatically clusters the tables inside. So cluster means recluster it if you're changing or adding the data, then it just does the processing inside to make sure that the keys works better to pull the data for you. And similarly you can like suspend it. So if I can suspend it here, and you can go and see the automatic clustering is suspended, which is off here now. And using the alter command, we can go and drop the clustering keys. So I dropped the clustering key. Now if you show the or see the table, it will not have any cluster key here. Now I am dropping the cluster key from the contacts also. So it will be dropped here. So there are so many things here to understand. I will go step by step in the theory also, but let's consider one more thing. Like for example, you have a table and you have altered the clustering key. So what happens when you alter the clustering key? Snowflake internally recluster the table to align it in such a way that the keys are aligned properly, so that it gives you best performance. So in order to see the cost associated there when you reclustered the table, then Snowflake actually works internally. So there is some cost involved. So how much cost, how much bytes, how much credits are consumed, that type of information you can actually go and find out by using this particular function, which is called automatic clustering history. So if you see it here, I have just given 2 dates, and since I clustered and reclustered and dropped some of the cluster key, it should give me some information. So what I was trying to do here is like I created the clone contacts and I reclustered those tables, so how much credits was consumed and all that information this particular function gives you. This particular command I have written here to see the clustering cost of the table catalog sales. We can see that, but it will not return you any information because the I have not passed the start date and end date here. And when you are not passing any start date and end date in the automatic clustering history function, it will just take only the default for last 12 hours, and I have not done anything in the catalog sales from the last 12 hours. So ideally it should not return me anything. Let's see what happens if it runs. So it is not producing any results. So another thing is like we can like alter. So like if you have the cluster key on a city, now you want to alter it and add it one more column. So this is what you can do. You can just add a cluster key on city, and now you want to add one more column, so you are adding like changing the cluster key here. So we just run this command, and now you will see the cluster key here, city and the postal code. Now